I get shit done, I have fun, it's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Business Renovator. I'm your host, Coach Phil. Today it's Unleash Your Inner Maverick and let the fighter pilot turn leadership guru tell us a thing or two. Yeah, Maverick. You know, the movie, famous? Well, that's not the guy. We've got somebody who's really been there, really done it, and transferred his skill, knowledge, and leadership abilities to the world of commerce. So I'm excited to have Jeff on with me today. But before we jump into doing that, there's a couple of things we want to do. Make sure that if you're watching this live, thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. And if you're watching us on the replay, let us know. Hashtag replay where you're watching from. Comments, questions that you would like addressed. If we can answer the questions, we will. And if you would be kind enough to share this out and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Business Renovator, that would be just fantastic. I got a selfish plug I'm going to do because it's my show. So here goes. Hang on. If you would like to have your business growth score, all you have to do is go to coachphil.ca. There's a button in the top corner, business growth score. Click on that and you'll have access to the assessment. No strings attached. It's complimentary. If you're, no matter where you are in your entrepreneurial journey, it'll give you a chance to check in with yourself where you're at. If you're, you might find that you're exactly where you need to be and everything is cool. Great, nothing to do. Just carry on with doing what you're doing. But if you're not there and would like a little help with it, again, by watching this show and letting us know that this is where you found us, 30-minute coaching call, no credit card required. And the really good news is that if I don't have the answer to it, I have access to a global network of awesome individuals. One of them you're going to meet today. Jeff Carlton is my guest, who's also, like he said, he's a guru in business, and we're going to find out what that's all about, how he got there, what he's doing now, and where he came from, and maybe some personal things along the way. But before I bring him on, I'm going to take a few things that I've got, some notes here. I don't remember everything. He's been 30 years of experience, including a distinguished career in the U.S. Navy and Montana Air National Guard, where he served as a fighter pilot, senior leader, commander, inspector general. He's the real Maverick, except for that. We'll get him to give us his call letters when we bring him on. He is an interesting dude. He's very mechanically inclined, likes to make things better, fix them and repair them. And he likes to do that with businesses today. So we're going to get him to tell us a little bit about is some of his insights and strategies to empower you, the people, to energize your initiatives, turn on your aspirations into reality. And whether you're a small business owner looking to grow or a seasoned executive aiming to advance, you want to be here and you want to get to know who Jeff is. So without any further delay, I'm going to bring my friend and peer up. Welcome, Jeff.
Hi, Coach.
Maverick. Okay, what's not Maverick? What did you go by?
I am chef in my past life, and still to my past peers, and it's actually because I do cook.
You do cook.
Well, when you got a style sense that was born for radio, you better be able to put out a good plate of food or you're never going to get a date.
Well, it must work because you have a date. So that's cool. Cool. So, what's going on in your world today?
Well, today is this is the highlight of my day today, other than the sun is shining, and it's just barely above freezing. Just thinking of new ways to get out and find more people to help. It was interesting. I got into coaching after all the other crazy stuff that I did, because I took a year off and I made it about 3 months and realized that something was really lacking, and I was not happy doing all the things that I thought were going to make me happy. And I realized what I missed was working with a team and the feeling of accomplishment and success. And that drove me back into this, and that's how I landed with Focal Point. It's a really good fit. I'm very, very comfortable where I'm at, and I absolutely love coaching.
It's like I had sent you a set of questions to respond, because that's actually the top question that's on my possible questions I might ask. So thank you for being in tune with where I was going with this.
I'm channeling my Yoda. Well, actually, you're Yoda. You're
you're Yoda too. Anyhow, what are some of the things that you would take out of the 30 plus years of being in the I forget, you know what, I got to go do it. I forgot to set up a picture. I want to go find it because it's a good picture of you. I'll do that as the show goes on. Anyhow, in terms of the lessons that were transferable from past life into this life, what are some of the things that you believe or have experienced in your recent transition into a Focal Point coach?
I guess the biggest ones are there's 2-3 word phrases that are the hardest ones to say when you're in a competitive environment, when you're young. Things I would say to my former self is it's okay to say, I don't know. I think that is the toughest thing to say in business or in the military or a competitive environment. I don't know. That is such a hard phrase for people to say. The other one is I need help. And when you can overcome your fear to ask for help and say that you don't know, it allows you to learn and it allows you to move forward from a stuck position. And you might get there on your own. And now that's really kind of the moral of the story is I always thought when I was younger, that I was going to get where I wanted to go all by myself. I also had this misconception that I had a hell of a resume, so I would get hired on paper. Well, and this is one of the things I tell people that are preparing for an interview now, is if you got the interview, you're already qualified for the job. You're just trying to figure out if they can deal with you for 8 hours a day. You know? So it takes a village to raise an idiot, and so far you and a lot of other people have helped me along the way pretty well.
Well, you're a pretty smart idiot. And actually a lot of humility I've experienced in the time I got to hang out with you. Not once I probably talk more about your heights that you've been to. Here I go again. I tend to tie in the aeronautical phraseology. I don't know why, but we kind of have a laugh around it at nobody's expense. It's kind of fun. Speaking of that, what's the highest that you can publicly tell me that you've ever flown without getting yourself in trouble?
Just under 50,000 feet legally.
What? That's like how many miles?
It's about 8 miles, 8 nautical miles, almost 9 statute miles, and I'm going to let you do the metric math.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do. I would use Google.
I used to be fluent in metric, and now I'm not.
That's crazy. So being that high and having a look around, how does that correspond with being a business guru?
Well, to put it in perspective, so this is good. You're taking me on a tangent. When you get that far away, everything gets really small, and you can see the big picture. You can see things that you can't see from a lower altitude.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and typically in an engagement, and in a flying engagement, if you're going against an adversary, you'd start out really high, so that you have the whole picture, and you also bring a lot more kinetic energy. But the fight usually goes downhill, and you get a lot closer to the ground. And at that point, all of the details really start to emerge of the landscape and what's going on. And I guess it's the same thing with coaching or any kind of problem solving. If you're able to get a really high, broad view of the situation, of the battlefield, if you will, and then you get closer and closer and closer, then you get into the details. But you got to have the big picture first. I guess is how I would make it analogous.
Yeah, I'm just flying in my imagination with that, how that correlates to business, and I think you're spot on. Because if we were to reverse engineer it, what we do as coaches often is to we create a gap. We don't create the gap. We identify what the gap is for our clients, right? Where are they today, right? And where do they want to be? So we have often what I get them to do is I don't use the example of being up in the air, but I have them think about if they were able to just imagine their ideal best business life, etc. What would it look like? And get them to start looking at all the pieces. So if you're up here, you can have I'm going to start using this, having a higher view to see what's there. And then as you get more clarity as to what's important, you zoom in, right? And then you zoom into, and we use something called a diamond map. So you could zoom into 4 areas: that health and fitness, relationships, career, and then the financial results you're looking for. And as you get closer, you can get into the minutia of all of those 4 quadrants. When I first started coaching, I thought we needed a wheel, like with lots of spokes, lots of things going on. But the reality is that's an arduous process to think about all those on a regular basis. Brian Tracy introduces a diamond map, and if we use the diamond map, it's easier to actually have focus. I'm thinking here, you're the guest, and I'm talking like I'm the guest.
Well, we're having a strong agreement here. Most people, including myself, I catch myself doing this all the time, is that you get so stuck and fixated on the problem that you're trying to solve at the moment that you forget about what the result is you actually want. So being able to step back and go, okay, well, I'm trying to fix the wrong problem. You know, most people do things right, but we don't always do the right things. So, and identifying what you're actually going to, what you actually should be working on, as opposed to what you are working on, is sometimes a lot of it. And that's where stepping back and sometimes you got to put yourself in timeout, and you got to step back and look at the bigger picture. What am I actually trying to accomplish here, and does it make sense?
Yeah, I'm going to say hi to Randy. Randy, 8 Miles High. He actually is a singer, entertainer, and an all-around awesome guy, a fabulous networker. But he says he thinks there's a song coming out of this. Maybe Maybe Randy's going to write it.
A bird song. I'm trying to remember. I got to go back and channel my inner 70s.
You know, it's coming. Go ahead.
That was a lot of beers ago, so
Yes. I remember, yeah. So when you were talking, I was doing this, and it also brought up two things for me. This being the blinders, we can't see the forest for the trees, is one thing that a lot of business owners get into because they're too busy doing what needs to be done, the forensic management of their business, and they forget to take time out to look forward to what why they got into business, and to almost dare to dream and then turn those dreams into reality. The other thing that I don't know if you've experienced this in your career is busyness. Busyness is something that people do because it feels good, but it's not actually moving them towards what they want to get to. But it's the endorphins are kicking in, the dopamine's there. And it was taught to me by a psychologist, brilliant guy, Dr. Sean Acker, who is an interesting character. Funny as heck. He has a really good TEDx talk. Anyhow, he spells busyness, 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 because it feels good, but we're not getting anywhere. So as a coach and a pilot, I think one of the things you and I would do, not that I'm not a pilot, I flew a Cessna once. Well,
that counts.
Yeah, but I was in an orientation flight. That I had a real pilot sitting in the other seat, making sure we did everything properly, which is a good thing. So that's kind of a good correlation to what having a business coach could do for a business owner, is to have that person sitting in the seat with you, helping you stay on task as to where you want to go, not to tell you where to go, but to keep you focused on your end result, like the gap we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, when I look back at it, and back to what I said at the beginning, is I had this misconception when I was younger and starting out that I was going to be a self-made man. I was going to do it all by myself. But I had an instructor my entire life, whether I was wise enough or unwise to pay attention to them or not. And I don't know if take advantage of or use the resources that were available to me with those instructors, because I had instructors my entire life. You can call it a coach, you can call it an instructor. There was no shortage of people in my former career that there was no shortage of people to tell me when I was doing something wrong, or when I could do something better. The hard part for a lot of people was being able to absorb that and take it on board without being offended, and realize that, I mean, there's no shortage of assholes out there, to be blunt. But if you can, life's hard, put a helmet on. I heard that quote yesterday. It was from Candace Owens. You have to be able to take those criticisms and those learning points and use them to make yourself better. So get over yourself. Think lightly of yourself and heavily of the world. That's a Mishimuro Masato quote. It's from The Ways of the Ronin. But
hey, how about this question from a viewer? How does your military experience inform your practice?
Well, it's all of it. It's the military experience was a school of hard knocks. I mean, there was no talking back. You get told some things sometimes, but also I saw the best and the worst of people on all sides of the fence, and just seeing how different people communicate, or how they fail to communicate, is probably a better skill set. And seeing how a large organization can be become so clunky, and arrogance, bureaucracy, complacency. That's not my job mentality. Somebody else is going to do that. Those are all things that are systemic problems that need to be just, you got to nip that in the bud as soon as you can for a healthy, lean, mean organization.
So taking the military mindset where it's by rank and you got to do what you're told. Is that transferable or recommended in the civilian world of business?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I tried to bring once I got into senior leadership and the inspector general part of it is I always told people when we would do an inspection or when I was getting inspection results, and I'm like, well, just calm down. If the outcome of not being in compliance is one of two things, really, you're either going to get more resources because you're not able to do it, or you're going to get more training, or maybe the expectation or the regulation is incorrect or outdated or no longer relevant. So we're either going to change the rule or we're going to find a way for you to follow the rule. Either way, it's a win. And when you got people thinking in that perspective, then we were able to affect real change that actually moved the organization forward as opposed to being stuck.
Right.
Running, it's like running on a treadmill. I guess you felt good for exercising, but you didn't really go anywhere. So,
in your experience, both, just in your experience, what are some of the strategies that you would face that you would leverage or use to deal with adversity or failures?
Dust yourself off. I learned, if I went out and had a good flight or I had a good day, I didn't learn anything from that. It's like going, well, hey, I got this licked. I'm good to go. The learning takes place when something goes wrong and you have to analyze it. The learning takes place when you fail and you're like, well, that wasn't as cool as I thought it was going to be. How can we not repeat that and do it differently? And that's where, if you have to disrupt your activity, disrupt the way that you have previously been doing things, that's the spark of innovation. That's the spark of some kind of a change. So if everything's perfect and there's no failure, then you'll get into the mode of repetition. So fail early, fail often. I say that all the time, because that's where I feel that you generate learning and new ideas.
I'm going to add one more on that: fail fast.
Yes, and I at times have overachieved on the on the failing part.
I think one of the things that in the business world and leadership world is if we can help people, like you say, dust themselves off and find the nugget, the gift, the lesson in the fail. Because to me, fail is an acronym, and it's the first attempt in learning. And there's an interesting woman. I've never met her, but I've studied her content and her material. She started out with an idea, and she built a business for women, for women's clothing. It's called Spanx, and she's a billionaire, self-made, and not really. Right? There's a lot of people, like you say, on the team that helped her get there. She had the drive, the energy, the focus, and wanted to do something. But it was her father that gave her the ability to manage and leverage failing. He would ask her and her brother when they were around the dinner table, what did you fail at today? So he got them to look at failing as not a bad thing, but as a good thing. And he would be disappointed if they went out in the world and couldn't come back and say, well, I didn't fail at anything. So he wanted them to expand, try things, stub their toes, scrape their knees, and dust themselves off. As a result of that, she's built a business out of something she'd never done before. And if you ever take her master class, there's a ton of great lessons in there about having an idea where you're at now and where you want to get to, and how she was inspired to do it. So $5,000, a burning desire to create this product for women, and her girlfriend dying early. So they used to be roommates. So she'd stay, when she was thinking about this business idea, she would be living, her office was her former roommate who passed. And every time she was there, she'd be thinking about this girlfriend of hers and going and pushing and moving forward to manufacture this product. And now she's making an impact in the world. And I believe she sold it. She still has an interest in it, but not running it anymore. So failing is a damn fine thing to do if you get up and keep on going. It's not, you haven't lost until you quit.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. You haven't lost until you quit. Your perseverance is huge.
There's a question from Jeff. To Jeff. And Jeff Zach spells his name correctly. You know how I know? That's my middle name. So we outvote you, Jeff.
What did I learn from leading high achievers? Well, here's one concept, and this one's tough. It's really tough to do. Well, two things. I'll start with, in order to be a good leader, you have to understand how to be a good follower. There's different leadership styles. There's some people that are just the autocrats that expect that they're going to they lead with the rank on their collar, as opposed to leading with their personality and by example. And you have to be able to ascertain as a follower how you would operate most effectively under those people. The other concept is, and this was one that I spent a lot of time with a lot of people, was talking about leading from below, because there was a lot of times where the really super smart people, the people that knew the job the best, were underneath a new commander or a new supervisor who didn't know the job, but were placed in there as a supervisory leadership, and had to help mentor those people to lead from below, which isn't, hey, dumbass, you don't know what you're doing. It was, hey, boss, there might be a better way to do this. Did you ever think about it like this? And so it was really, it came down to communication skills and different communication styles of how are you going to articulate a goal or objective to somebody that is in a superior position or a higher ranking position than you are, to get them to see the light and stop doing stupid stuff. Yeah. So leading from below is a very difficult art. And I don't have the secret sauce, other than patience and getting to know the person. You have to have at some point, you have to have some kind of a relationship with the other person, and understand how they communicate.
There's something I hate about this show.
It's your show, man.
I know.
Fix it.
It comes to an end so quickly. Look at that. We're only at the 30-minute mark. Anyway,
and hello back in Missoula. You're not too far away. I hope you're above freezing.
Yeah, actually, he's a veteran like you. He was in the Army, I think. Alan, correct me if I'm wrong, or high five if I'm right. You guys should connect. I think you'd enjoy each other's company. I met Alan because of COVID. We became part of a group, and actually Kellen Ann that was on here saying hi to us. I met her as well. So anyway, networking, speaking of networking, Randy McCord, who was, I got a note here, says, Google it, 60s. It's a song by the Byrds. So I guess I have some homework to do. Thank you, Randy. Randy's not going to be writing a song. He's too busy helping people in their business in and around how to get more money out of it and pay less tax. That's kind of one of the things he does. He's a brilliant kind of guy. Oh, there he is. Here's Alan. Yes, I got it right.
Oh, second ID. Right on, Alan.
Cool. I wanted to share some information about you, and I'm going to do that right now. And I'm going to go to your LinkedIn page first. So if people would like to connect with you, I'll put the banner up there so it's actually, you can see it. It's this one right here. So this is Jeff's LinkedIn page where you can connect with him. I would recommend doing it. He's an awesome dude. I was here now you're going to know. I was contemplating going to drive a few hours south from where I am to where he is to hang out on Thanksgiving, but I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks in October, so it's not going to happen this year. Now the snow's coming. It probably won't happen until the spring next year. Well, maybe set that up. No, did I say maybe? That's non-committal. Let's set it up. We'll find a date and we'll specifically do it. Because what we find is if you're specific with what you're doing and set a goal and a timeline, it's more likely to come to fruition. So I'm going to go, and maybe I'll make it a round trip and go and hang out with Alan too.
That's why you're Yoda. You just coached yourself right into that.
Well, I try. The other one I want to show is this one, which is your professional website. And I have a banner for that too, because that's way too hard to read. And if you want to go and find out, and if you wanted to get your business growth score, it's right up here. And you can have Jeff do it with you, or go to Jeff and have it done. Whatever way proper English suggests we do that. What I'm going to ask you now, though, my friend and peer, is once I get rid of that and bring you back, there's two things. I'm going to ask you two things. I told I was going to ask you one, but I'm going to ask you two. One is, do you have a favorite book that you'd recommend for business entrepreneurs?
So I have two books that really stick out. One was Stephen Covey's book, and the other was Winning by Jack Welch. He was the former CEO of GE. And I don't know, that was one that I read really early on, but there was a lot of things in there. He was just a really no-nonsense guy that put some really practical ideas into place, and he was very controversial. They called him Neutron Jack because he just, if a facility wasn't profitable, he just shut it down and the parking lots were empty. So it was like a neutron bomb went off.
Wow.
But that book, Winning by Jack Welch, was pretty influential on me.
And then if there was one nugget gem that you would get people to focus on that are listening to this now or in the future, what would that be?
Be specific in your goal. Write it down on a piece of paper. Be clear and concise. Be adaptable with your plan of action. Always have a plan B on how you're going to achieve the goal, and be flexible and have the courage to tell yourself that the goal might not have been the right one that you set initially as you go through. So, we have an idea of what we want it to look like, and we realize we might not have been we might not have set the correct goal. So don't be afraid to change course in the middle of it. So it's cyclic. You always have to be aware, and you always have to observe what your external and internal conditions and environment are in order for you to continue to move forward in a positive direction. And that might not be the direction you were going initially.
Well, I like a lot of things about what you said today. The one thing I'm going to say before we end the show is you circle back to fail. First attempt in learning, all of those things, to be flexible, to be adaptable, to have courage, to be honest, get the feedback, and course correct. Whether you're flying a plane at 50,000 feet, 8 miles, or running a business with 100 people or 30 people, doesn't matter. Pay attention to the feedback. It'll serve you well, is what I got out of that.
Yeah, and have a flight plan. I mean, nobody's going to go and jump in an airplane if they didn't write down where they were going and what the heading and speed was going to be.
Well,
so why wouldn't you make a flight plan for your business and direction? And when I ask people, hey, do you have a strategic plan? What's your business plan? Where do you want to be in 12, 36, and 60 months from now? And they like,
it's a deer in the headlight look, right?
Yeah,
a lot of the time, not always, but a lot of the time. I think that's a great thing. We actually, as Focal Point coaches, we offer a 90-day flight plan. So if you're interested in doing that, explore it with a real pilot, not just a business coach.
Remember, flying's easy, landing is hard.
Yes. Anyway, I got to say thank you for being here and fitting this into your schedule. Much appreciated. We have one more last comment. Let's see. There we go. We've got Alan agreeing, and he's a smart dude. Alan, thanks for being here. And thanks to Randy, Kellen, Melvin, Jeff. Thank you for all being here today. And if you're watching this live, again, thanks for that. And if you're watching it on the replay, pardon me, hashtag replay and let us know comments, questions that you might have. I'm going to wrap this up, my friend. We'll see you on the other side. Well, I have some additional notes. Take time and reflect. Don't do it on your own. It's easier if you have a team. Focus. Leading from below. He reminded me about fail early, often, and fast. Yeah, communication skills. There's a lot of nuggets in that short bit of time we were here today. I want to wrap it up with the final thing that I would like to do, and here it comes right now. I want you to continue to be your wonderful self, because that's an important thing to do, because the you in one, oh, it's over here, weather guy. The you represents you, and each one of us are unique. So continue being your unique, wonderful self. Until next time, I'm Coach Phil, your host of the Business Renovator. That's a wrap.
I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.